guys, welcome back. I'm Maggie, and in this video I'm going to show you how to crochet this baby blanket. This is just the softest, most cushy blanket. I love it. This baby blanket is made using single crochets, half double crochets, something that I call a modified half double crochet. And the edge here is a bobble stitch that is made using 5 double crochets together. So the yarn that I used to make this blanket is Loops and Threads Skinny Chenille. I used white for the blanket itself, and then for the border I used the Loops and Threads Skinny Chenille in the color Bluebird. I used a 7mm crochet hook for the blanket itself, and for the bobbles I used a 5mm. I sized down because I found that this thinner chenille got kind of loose and my bobbles weren't looking like little bobbles. So I like using a smaller hook for the bobble stitch. I also like using my stitch markers. They are invaluable to me because they really help me keep my edges nice and straight so that I can always find that last stitch when I'm ending my rows. So for this baby blanket, I would say it was appropriate for a newborn. It measures 32 inches by 32 inches, and to get that size I chained 100, and then I did this pattern repeat here, this section, 6 times. Now you can make your blanket any size that you like. Just make sure that your beginning chain is an even number, and then you just repeat your pattern to the length that you desire. So I'm going to just make a little swatch with you here today to show you the basics on how this blanket is put together. It, like I said, is not very difficult. It's just a matter of keeping track of your stitches and notes. This is how I always do my pattern, so sorry about the mess here, and if I stumble as we go along. I'm not a pattern writer, as we all know, but I'll go ahead and share with you to the best of my ability how I made this one. And if you have any questions or if my instructions aren't clear, please feel free to just put your questions in the description for me, and I am sure to get back with you. I will also try to put, as I edit this, the instructions for each of the rows down below on the screen here, okay? Alrighty, so to get started, we need to make our chain. Again, it needs to be an even number. So I'm going to just make a small swatch today. I do have another baby blanket that I need to make, but it doesn't need to be done until February, so I have a little bit of time on that one. And I am working on several whips right now because, you know, I just never seem to finish one project before I find another one that I want to get started on. Okay, so anywho, let me get us started here. I think I'll chain 20 and make a small square. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let me start over. The chenille yarn is a little difficult for me because it's so slippery, and using a metal hook is sometimes a challenge too. Because this is a size 7 hook, and for whatever reason I find those really hard to find. I can't find my plastic size 7 hook, which with a slippery yarn like this I prefer a plastic hook. It just doesn't seem to slip as much, and I can hold my tension a little better. But anyway, that's just something that I have found. Maybe you don't experience that, but the chain in the beginning part of this, the first couple of rows, is a little difficult because it is so slippery, but once you get a good foundation, your stitches go in nice and smoothly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. All right, so for our first row, we're just going to be placing single crochets, and we'll put them in the second chain from your hook. This is 1, 2. I like placing my stitches in the back bump of my work. Feel free, if you prefer to put it into your chain, to do that as well. So we're just placing 1 single crochet into each chain all the way down. I started with 20, so I'll have 19 single crochets at the end. You hear my bird in the background. I don't know if my mic's picking this up or not. I have a couple of little birds. I don't know what kind of birds they are. They're just little ones. They like to make nests wherever they can. Anyway, they are hollering at me right now. They want me to come give them some treats. They've actually gotten to the point that they were sneaking into my house. I have a French door in the back that I leave open when the weather is nice, and those little birds have made their way into my house, and one of them was actually in the house overnight. I didn't realize that he had gotten in, and when I went up to bed, I heard some noise behind my blind, and I thought, oh my gosh, what is that? And sure enough, it was a little bird. So he ended up staying the night because I wasn't going to try to get him out in the dark. But I thought that might have freaked him out and scared him off from spending time in the house. But no, he still comes in. They like to come in and try to find crumbs on the floor or dog food pieces out of the dog's bowls. And I know some of you guys might know that I have a couple of pet lizards, different types, and I feed them mealworms. And I had the mealworm cup out, and don't you know that little bird was sneaking into the mealworm cup? I heard him tap, tap, tapping on the outside of it because he could see them through the cup. So I opened it up, and sure enough, he got his little beak down in there and was just getting all kinds of fat and sassy with those mealworms. So I'll tell you, I do enjoy my wildlife, but they are getting a little spoiled. You can hear them out there hollering at me to give them something. And I'd already fed the squirrels this morning. They were up bright and early, waiting on me. So don't worry about your work doing all this curly cueing and stuff in the beginning. It will all flatten out and straighten out once we get going. It's just the nature of the chenille yarn. All right, so I'm on my last one. I'll go ahead and straighten that out. And I forgot, because I was too busy talking, telling you my story, to put my stitch marker in my first stitch. You know, a lot of people don't feel it's necessary, but I really do like doing it. It just helps keep me on track and all of my stitches and my edges nice. So let me just double count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. All right, so when we get to the end, at the end of each and every row, we're going to chain one and turn, okay? So we're going to now repeat. The next 2 rows are going to be single crochets. So you'll have your first 3 rows will be single crochets. So I'm going to come back around, and don't worry about these little loop-de-loops and stuff. It's, again, the chenille yarn, but it all ends up looking nice in the end. All right, so there's my first single crochet, and I am using my stitch marker because I want to find it easily when I come around. Whoops. All right, so into each and every stitch we'll place another single crochet. I don't know if you can hear that, but that's my dog Frida down there snoring. I'm trying a new mic today. I'm sure hoping this is picking up okay. I usually wear one, and the problem with that is I get a lot of feedback and weird sounds on that. So I have one right now that's attaches to the camera. So fingers crossed it's picking up things without too much of an echo, or I don't know. I'll get the sound right eventually. Okay, so I'm at the end, and a lot of times people will miss this stitch. Again, that's why I like this stitch marker. You can also go back and count your stitches to make sure that you have the right number. This is a small little swatch that I'm making, but you can imagine if you have to go back and count 199 for each row, that would really get kind of frustrating, I think. So I like my stitch markers. It cuts down on the number of times I have to count my rows. All right, so I'm on my third single crochet row, and I will meet you at the end for row 4. Chain 1 and turn. Remember, every row we end with chain 1 and turn. Okay, so row 4, we're going to be doing half double crochets into each stitch. Half double crochet is just yarning over, placing your hook into the stitch. You'll have 3 loops on your hook and pull through all 3. All right, marking my stitch, and half double crochets all the way down. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, 3 loops on your hook, pulling through all 3. Yarn over into your stitch, yarn over, pull through, 3 loops are on your hook. Let me get some more yarn here. Yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Okay. It's been a minute since I've done a tutorial. I'm feeling a little fumbly. The last few videos that I've put out were vlog style videos, just whips and things that I've been doing. My son's wedding and the wedding blanket. I want to say fiasco, but it was not a fiasco. It turned out just great. It just, I had some hiccups with making the blanket and getting it done in time, but everything turned out wonderfully. The wedding was absolutely gorgeous. The bride and her mom did such a good job. I mean, every single detail was just planned to the T and perfect. I just could not have been more thrilled for them and the wedding. It was just amazing. Oopsie, I think I'm getting myself a little knot in here, or what we call yarn barf. There we go. Okay. So row 4 was half double crochets. Row 5 will be a row of single crochets. All right, so here's my last stitch, placing my last half double crochet, chain 1 and turn, and now this row will be single crochets. So right down into the first stitch there, single crochet, mark my stitch, and single crochets to the end. I will meet you there. Alrighty, I am now on my last single crochet of row 5, and we'll get ready for row 6. This is when things start to change a little bit and start taking shape. So we're going to chain 1 and turn. This is where we're going to start with what I call a modified half double crochet. It's kind of like what you use if you've ever done a herringbone half double crochet. I'm pretty sure this is the same stitch. So what we're going to do is yarn over, place our hook into the stitch, yarn over, pull through. Now instead of pulling through, yarning over and pulling through all of these loops, we're going to take this first loop on our hook and pull it through the first loop and then around and pull through the 2 loops that were remaining. All right, let me just mark that and I will go through just a little bit slower for you next time. So we've done that. We're going to chain 1. We're going to skip 1 and go into the next one with another one of those modified half double crochets. We're yarning over into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, and we're going to keep on pulling through with that loop so that it goes through that first loop there. We have 2 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through both of those loops. Chain 1, skip 1 into the next stitch, yarn over, pull the yarn through your stitch. You have 3 loops on your hook, and you're going to you're going to continue pulling that 3rd loop through the first loop there that was on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2. Boy, this is seeming like as clear as mud right now. Let me see if I can try that again. Yarn over, chain 1, skip 1. All right. Yarning over, place your hook into your stitch, yarn over, pull your loop through, and you're going to continue pulling that loop through that next loop on your hook. Whoops, jeez, oh Pete. I told you I'm a little rusty. It's been a while since I've done a tutorial. Here we go. Yarn over, we're skipping 1, going into the next. Put your hook into your stitch, yarn over, pull it through the stitch, and continue pulling that loop through the next loop on your hook. Now we have 2 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through those 2. Okay? Chain 1, skip 1 into the next stitch, yarn over, put your hook into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, continue pulling that through the next loop. You have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both of those remaining loops. Yarn over, chain 1, skip 1 into the next one. We're going to place that same modified stitch. Yarning over, placing your hook into your work, pulling the yarn through the stitch, continue to pull that loop through the first loop that was on your hook. You have 2 left. Yarn over, pull through those 2. We're going to chain 1, skip 1, and into the next we're going to do that stitch. Yarn over, place your hook into the stitch, yarn over, pull that yarn through your work, continue pulling that yarn through the first loop there that was on your hook. You have 2 left. Yarn over, pull through those 2. Chain 1, skip 1, yarn over, place your hook into your work, yarn over, pull through, continue to pull through that first loop there. You have 2 loops, yarn over, pull through those 2. Chain 1, skip 1 into this next stitch, yarn over, place your hook into that stitch, yarn over, pull your yarn through your work, continue pulling that yarn through that first loop. 2 loops are on your hook, yarn over, pull through those 2. chain one, skip one, and now we're at our last stitch, and we're going to place one more of those stitches. We're ending on that modified half double crochet. Yarn over, yarn into that last stitch, yarn over, pull through, continue pulling through that loop on your hook. You have two left. Yarn over, pull through those two, chain one, and turn. All right, there you go. So what we have here is your stitches, skipping one in between each one, okay? We want one chain in between each stitch. Okay, so now row 7. We're going to begin row 7 with a single crochet, and I'm going to mark that with my stitch marker. You'll notice some tails hanging off the side of my work here. The yarn had a factory knot in it, and I had to retie and rejoin, so just ignore this. I'll show you how to add yarn later. I just figure it's a little soon to hit you with that. So ignore my little tails. Okay, so for row 7, we start with our single crochet, and now what we're going to do is that same stitch, but we're going to reach down into the row below to place our stitch in the back loop of the row below. You'll see this kind of sticking up right here, the back loop of this stitch down here. We're going to be placing our work into that. So we're yarning over, placing our hook down into that stitch, yarn over, pulling through, and just like we did before, we're just going to continue pulling that loop through that first loop that was on our hook, yarn over, and pull through both. Okay? Once we do that, we chain one, skip one, and we're going into the next stitch. I'll pull it apart a little bit here so you can see, in the work below. So from here out, the next section that we're doing is just going into the row below, picking up that back stitch, the back loop of that stitch, okay? And that's what gives us this kind of woven look. So that setup row, row 6, we did that stitch, but into the loops of that row. Now we're kind of dipping down into the row below. It's the same concept, we're just going down below this time. All right, so I'm yarning over, down into the row below, that back loop, yarn over, pull my yarn through, continue to pull it through that loop on my hook. I have two on my hook, yarn over, pull through those two, chain one, skip one. Here is my stitch below, yarn over, placing my hook into that back loop, yarn over, pull through, continue to pull through the first loop that was on my hook. It gives you this little horizontal bar doing that. Yarn over, pulling through both loops on my hook, chaining one, skipping one. Here I have that gap. You can see my little hole here. I'm going to look for the back loop of the stitch below. Yarn over, place my hook into that back loop, come around, grab my yarn, pull it through, continue to pull through that first loop that was on my hook. I have two loops now, yarning over, going through those two. Chain one, skip this one. Here's my gap. There's my stitch below. I see my back loop. I'm going to yarn over, place my hook into that back loop, grab my yarn, pull it through, continue pulling it through the first loop that was on my hook. I have two, yarning over, pulling through those two. Chain one, skip one, and there's my gap again, okay? Alrighty, so we're coming up to our last stitch here. In our last stitch, we're going to place a single crochet. We're beginning and ending each of these rows with a single crochet. So we did our modified stitch, chain one, skipped one, and into this last stitch we'll place our single crochet. We'll chain one and turn. Oh, there goes my stitch marker. All right, for row 8, we begin with our single crochet, and our single crochet is going to go right into this first stitch after our chain. Okay, you might have to pull your work to see it. So always start and end with a single crochet. This is going to help keep our sides nice and straight. Chain 1, skip 1 into the next stitch below. We're going to yarn over, place our hook, yarn over, pull through, continue to pull through, 2 loops on our hook, pull through those 2 loops, chain 1, skip 1. Here is my stitch below, back loop I'm going into, yarn over, pull through, continue to pull through, 2 loops on my hook, pull through those 2, chain 1, and skip 1. Okay, so that's all we're going to do all the way down our row again. The difference in each of these rows, though, is how you begin after your single crochet. You're either going to be placing a modified half double crochet into the row below, or you're going to be doing a chain 1, skip 1, depending on where you ended. Once you are familiar with it, it's not difficult. You're just alternating your pattern or your rows. So I wrote it out here. And I like to make little check marks as I go through. I wrote out the entire series here for the section, and then I just wrote for each section, section 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're repeating from row 3 to what will be row 16, okay? It's really not as complicated as I'm making it all out to be, I'll tell you, I promise. It's very, very simple, very repetitive. I just tend to be a little anal when it comes to writing my steps out and things. You may not need to do that for yourself. I just find it easier to stay on track doing it that way. This is a really fun pattern. In fact, I've actually made a washcloth using it, and I'll link that pattern up above here for you. It might be simpler to begin with the washcloth pattern just to kind of start off with something small rather than taking on the baby blanket and using the chenille yarn, which can kind of make things a little more challenging too. That would not be a bad idea. Just start off with a little washcloth first to get the stitch down, and once you've got it, it's really simple. Oopsie, those tails in the way. All right, I'm going to get to the end here and just do one more turn for you and show you how we do that. Chain 1, skipping 1 down into the row below. Okay, chain 1, and I am going to place my single crochet into the end there. The chenille yarn is so luxurious, but boy, it's slippery to work with. So this pattern for this blanket can actually, you don't need to use the chenille yarn if you are newer to crochet and find this a little challenging to work with. Any baby yarn would work up really pretty too. All right, so I chained 1 and turned. I'm starting row, which one are we on now? Row 9. With my single crochet, and you'll notice right after that first single crochet I've got this big gap, right? So that tells me that my next step is going to be that modified half double crochet, yarning over, reaching down into the back loop of the stitch below, pulling through, continue to pull through, 2 loops are on my hook, pull through those 2, chain 1, skip 1. Yarn over and into the row below. So that's all it is, guys. It's the same all the way across. It's just your first stitch after your single crochet is either going to be the modified half double crochet or a chain 1, skip 1. You're just alternating. All right, so we're going to continue this, repeating this pattern until we get to row 16. So you will complete row 15. Row 16 we're going to do something just a tiny bit different. So I will meet back up with you when you complete row 15. So for row 16 we're going to do things just a little bit differently. We're going to begin and end with 2 single crochets for this row. So we'll do 1 single crochet into the first stitch, another single crochet into the next stitch, and now we're going to do that modified half double crochet by going down into the row below. And instead of chaining one, skipping one, now what we're going to do is place a single crochet into that next stitch. We're going to go into the row below for the next stitch, and then single crochet into the next stitch. So we're kind of closing things up now. We're not going to be doing the chain one, skip one to give ourselves this gap. We're closing it up to give a nice even row of stitches for our next row. Okay, down into that modified stitch below and a single crochet. Modified stitch below and a single crochet. So this is just like we've been doing, but our chain one, skip ones are now turning into single crochets. Okay, single crochet into the next. Modified, whoopsie, slippery yarn, modified stitch below and a single crochet. Make sure we got both loops there. Yarn over down into the stitch below, whoopsie. Wow, I am really butterfingers. It's been a while. There we go. Okay, and my last 2 now are going to be single crochets. One and 2. Chain 1 and turn. Okay, now what we're going to do is place a row of single crochets for row 17. Our first single crochet and our stitch marker, and for each stitch now we're just placing 1 single crochet. So my swatch here is 19 stitches long, so I will have 19 single crochets across my work. So we're ending this section just like we began it, with a row of single crochets. The next row, row 18, will be half double crochets, and then row 19 will be single crochets. You'll just keep repeating this sequence until you get your work as long, or your blanket as long as you like. Okay, there was row 17 single crochet, chain 1, turn. Now my half double crochet row. This is row 18. Half double crochets across. I'm putting the blanket underneath because that stitch marker scratching on the tabletop is, I'm sure, very annoying to you guys. I hope you can see this well. If these stitches are not familiar to you, if this is kind of going a little too fast for you because I haven't gone through how to make each of these stitches, I'll put links to tutorials in the description to how to do a half double crochet and any other stitch you might need. I'll go ahead and link those up down there. Okay, row 19 will be a row of single crochets. Sorry, I put my stitch marker in my teeth. Placing that first one there. I'll meet you at the end with our row of single crochets, and then I'll show you how to finish off your work so that you can then place your bobble border. You can finish this blanket with any style border that you like. I just think this is pretty cute, the little bobbles, especially for a baby. For row 20, we're going to do one more row of single crochets so that we have our match from the bottom to the top. So when you're ready to finish your work, you will do one more row of single crochets. If you are going to continue on with your pattern, you're just going to go back to row 3 as a single crochet. I am finishing here what would be row 20 of my last repeat. Any of the other pattern repeats, you stop at row 19 and then begin again at row 3. But since this is the last row of my blanket, I'm going to do a row of single crochets and we'll call this row 20. All right, so once you have made your blanket to the length that you want, we want to go all around the edges to kind of square things up by making a row of half double crochets. So we're going to end off our last row here by chaining 1. We're going to turn our work. I'm going to place half double crochets as evenly as I can all the way along this side. In our corners, we're going to place 3 half double crochets. So this first corner here, I'm going to start with 1 half double crochet. And I'm going to mark that. And I'm going to continue on down this side, just placing a half double crochet into each row and trying to keep them spaced out evenly. Sorry. Now in this section here, I have to decide whether I'm going to place one in this gap or not. How evenly they're spaced there. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so for each row, we're placing a half double crochet. Okay, so I'm coming up on my first full corner here, and I'm going to place 3 half double crochets into this corner. Now what I want to show you too is that instead of placing my half double crochets up here into these stitches, I'm going to place them around each of these stitches, kind of between the posts here. I'll show you what I mean. So that was my first half double crochet in the corner. Here's my second and my third. Now as I come to this side, I'm going to be placing my stitches between these posts here, these big spaces that I have. So my first one will go here on this side. Whoops. Here we go. Here. Here. Here's my gap, so I'll place my hook there. Okay, I'm in my corner, so I'll make 3 half double crochets. I'm going to try to put them right over my tail there, help to hide that. Okay, now I'm on that kind of wonky side, so I'll be trying to place my half double crochets as evenly as I can along the side here. Oopsie, there we go. Okay, here's my corner. So it's 3 half double crochets there. 1, 2, and 3. And now on this side, again, we're going to just be placing our stitches in between each of these posts. Okay, so I'm coming up to where I started my first stitch here in my corner. So I'm going to go ahead and place 2 more half double crochets here, because that first half double crochet that we did is going to count as 1, and this makes 2 and 3. Now what I want to do is join my border color. Now you can continue on with white if you wanted to make this. I think this would make a really nice like christening blanket, but I'm going to go ahead just to show you how to change colors, and I'll use the blue border again. If I can find my end on my blue here. This skein of yarn wound up being an outside unwinding, and boy, what a mess that was. I tried to find the center, and the center on these, or center pull on these chenille yarns is really tough. They tend to really get tangled up. So I'm going to show you what I did with this one. because I thought I was using the inside pull, but it wound up being the outside pull. And if you are familiar with outside pulls, it will really cause your yarn ball to roll off of whatever you're working on and make it kind of difficult. So I found this. I don't know if you guys can see it real well here. I can't move my camera too much, but this is just a cheapy little plastic basket that I found at Dollar Tree. And I put it in here, and it fits just about perfectly. And then you can take your yarn end and fit it through one of these holes, and it will keep your skein of yarn from rolling away from you while you're working. All right, so to change your color, after you have put your second half double crochet into that corner, so now we have 3, I'm going to change my hook now down to a size 5mm or H hook, because I want to use it to make my bobbles a little tighter. So if you are not changing colors, you would just put your hook into that first half double crochet, the top of it there, yarn over, and make a slip knot through to close your corner. I'm going to change colors, so I'll show you how to do that. We're going to take our hook, place it into that same space again, this top of the half double crochet, but what I'm going to pull through now is my contrasting color. So I'll place this here, and I'm going to bring it through the top of that half double crochet through the loop on my hook, and I'm going to close it off by chaining 3. 1, 2, 3. Now I can go ahead and cut my white yarn. We're going to be placing our stitches into the first chain of our chain 3. Now what we're going to be doing is making double crochets, but we're not completing our double crochet to the very end. So this is what we call 5 double crochets together. So to do that, we're going to be partially making 5 double crochets all into the same stitch, and the last stitch we make, we're going to be pulling through all of it. Let me show you. All right, so we're going to yarn over just like you would in a double crochet. We're going to place our hook down into the first chain, yarn over, pull through, so that you have 3 loops on your hook just like you do with a double crochet. We're going to do the first part of a double crochet by yarning over and pulling through the first 2 loops. Now, instead of yarning over and pulling through those 2, we're going to yarn over, place our hook back into the first chain, yarn over, pull through. We're going to yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops again. Now we have 3 loops on our hook. We're going to do that one more time. Yarn over, place our hook back into that first chain, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through the first 2 again. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to yarn over into the chain, out again, pull through the first 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need to do that one more time. Pulling through just the first 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we have made 5 double crochet, partial double crochets. We're going to yarn over now, and we're going to pull through all of those loops on our hook. Okay, now we're going to place our hook into the next stitch to do a slip stitch, and that's going to kind of pull everything together for us. Okay, that's 1 slip stitch. We're going to do 2 more. 2 and 3. So we have 3 slip stitches after our bobble. At this 3rd slip stitch, we're now going to chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to just keep doing the same thing we just did all along our border. We're going to do 5 double crochet together into the first chain of our chain 3. Yarn over, my hook goes into the first chain, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, go into the chain again, yarn over, pull up, yarn over, go through 2, We're going to do this 5 times, and I can't count while we're talking, but I do know that when I have 6 loops on my hook, I've done it 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One more time then. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I yarn over and go through all of them now. Okay. Now I'm going to not put my slip stitch here into the same space that I just did my bobble in. I'm going to come into the next stitch and make my slip stitch. 1, into the next, 2, and into the next 3. So after each bobble, the next 3 stitches we're placing slip stitches. At the end of this 3rd slip stitch, I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and I'm going to do everything again that we just did into this first chain. Yarn over, place my hook into that first chain, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over into the chain, yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over into the chain, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over into the chain, yarn over, pull through 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loops on my hook, so I need to do it one more time to make 6 loops on my hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, yarn over and pull through all of those. My slip stitch will not go into the same stitch that my bobble is in, so I'll go into my next one. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so you see my bobbles are kind of flat looking because I've had to kind of stop and talk, but you can go back and fluff them up and turn them the right way after you've made your bobbles so that they look like cute little balls. All right guys, so that is it. You just continue and make your bobbles all around your border and your blanket will be complete. This is just the softest, most cushy blanket. I love it. I think this is the perfect size to for a newborn to be wrapped in. This could be a car seat blanket that you can kind of tuck around the baby, or a stroller. If you have any questions or if I can make anything clearer for you, please leave me a comment below and I will get back with you. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like, and if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. I really appreciate that. I've enjoyed this time with you and hope that you enjoyed your time with me, and I will see you again soon on the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.